This is the Willpower Podcast live at APTA CSM. We're here with physical therapy leaders and practice owners from across the country talking about where the industry is going and what it takes to grow in today's landscape. Today I'm joined by a dear friend and powerful leader, Neil Trickett, founder of Practice Promotions, discussing the real difference between PR, marketing, and sales, and how PT practice owners can stop leaving patients and revenue on the table by building a marketing engine that actually works. Let's get into it. Willpower Podcast, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We're here at CSM with Neil Trickett. I am so excited, Neil, to have you on the show because you are the marketing expert in physical therapy, occupational therapy, and speech. And you're here with like all these other people with some of the biggest physical therapy companies in the nation. And many of these people are clients of yours. And so let's get right into marketing, the evolution of marketing. What are the needs? What are the differences in needs from like a solopreneur to like the next stage in a company's development?
Yeah, totally. So I think the first critical question to answer is how important is marketing in your practice? And when you look at
maybe more foundational.
So like, cause a lot of times it's an afterthought. Like, hey, we know we need more new patients, but we do really well. We service our patients really well. So they come back for care. We've grown organically to a certain point. We have physician referrals. We're doing good, right?
Yeah.
Like, so why do I need to put more money into marketing? Like, why do you need to put more effort into this area? But really the key thing, the first step of financial planning to grow your business is marketing. Because marketing is the gas. And there's really three critical areas in your practice. And that's going to be getting new business in the door, operations, and finance. So like any one of those key areas you're working on at any one time or multiple times as a practice owner, we tend to gravitate towards operations because we love it.
Yeah.
We know how to treat patients. We know like getting our staff to treat patients the way that we want to, our front desk, like hiring issues that we come up with. And then we worry about the insurance billing and getting our money in. And then we have to figure out what to do with it and make sure we have payroll and accounting and taxes and all this other stuff. But the getting the new business in the door usually becomes the bottleneck at a certain point of the practice because you can grow organically to a certain level, but then it needs more gasoline to go pump that engine harder to go to that next level. So as a solopreneur, as a growing practice, you'll feel it when you start to kind of reach that threshold of that organic growth.
Yeah.
Right.
So just by opening your doors in some places, you start growing new, and this is good for multi-location businesses as well, because as they're opening de novos or in those spaces where they're trying to expand, they're going through this exact same cycle. They open their doors. There's going to be an influx of patients, but larger companies obviously have played this game enough to where they understand how to front load some marketing. So I love what you said, Neil, that marketing is the first step in financial planning. I'd never thought of it that way. Yeah. And so I guess most solopreneurs, the biggest mistake they make is just that they don't understand that. Could you define for everybody, even experienced multi-location owners and leaders, what's the difference between marketing and sales?
Actually, there's three components. There's PR, marketing, and sales.
Okay.
Right.
I've never heard that. That's great.
So, and it's not equal. It's like a pyramid, right? So your biggest foundation should be your PR, your public relations. And that's making your good works well known.
Okay.
Right. And that's your word of mouth, what people think about you when you're not in the room. What's your online presence like? Do you have great reviews? Or are you well known in your community? Are you providing a lot back to your community? What do patients say about you? All of that is PR.
And I guess that's a hard thing for people because that doesn't always clearly delineate return on investment. So like I'm putting a lot of Google reviews out. I'm putting a lot of I'm sponsoring, high school events and I've got my banner places. Maybe that's overlapping marketing, but like just some of those PR elements you mentioned, they don't have a direct line into new patients, but you're saying that's the base and the most important.
It is the most important part. Yes. And you're right. It's very hard to quantify. You will see that at the end and the trends, the numbers of new patients, the growth of the clinic. But it's a longer return. It's not an immediate fast return. And that's where people start to kind of falter and they don't put enough effort into their PR, their brand building. That's where brand lives. It's really
in that PR space.
Segment, right? So what do people think about you? What do people consider your practice? Like, where do you fit in the community?
Right.
What do people's reviews say about you? All those things, right?
Yeah.
And so that is the most critical area for and I see this all the time when clinics aren't getting enough traction with their marketing, it's because they really haven't put any effort into gathering testimonials or reviews or building that PR component of their business, and they're expecting some advertising to fix everything, right? And if you have that base of that pyramid really big, you can build upon it much easier. So then when you have a great online presence, when your reviews are really good, when you have a great service that people rave about your services to others, then the marketing becomes much more powerful. Your advertising works a lot better. Your website works a lot better. Your direct mail works even better. And then the sales component, which is actually your front desk.
Okay.
Right.
So okay. Got it. Sales component, front desk. I don't think people realize that. They think of it as a receptionist job.
Right.
And so they hire at the cheapest dollar amount possible and then wonder why. I don't even think they know how much business they're losing at the front desk.
It's tremendous. I say front desk is one of the most critical positions in your company.
Wow.
So front desk is critical. Like, how fast do people answer the phones? How fast can you get information for the patient? How well can you get them to show up for a visit? Excite them about coming in, and how do you get them to keep coming back for care? Like that, then your therapists become part of that sales cycle. Right?
Yeah.
So your therapists have to sell their services well in the outcome that the patient's going to get, right, from coming in. And then the front desk has to reinforce that. And then your marketing follow-up has to reinforce that. So that's whole sales cycle. But that's the tip of the pyramid. So again, if you have a lot of patient drop off, right, if patients come in for 1 or 2 visits and then they never come back again, look lower, because your PR is probably more, and then your marketing is not so good. And then people come in like, I'll give them a try. I came off of a Facebook ad.
Right.
No, I'll give them a shot. And then, 1 or 2 visits, they're like, I don't know. I wasn't really sold well on this thing, and I didn't really believe it to start with.
Right.
And then you got all this patient drop off and cancellations happening.
And then they freak out and then they run out. And this is more of that solopreneur mindset. I think the bigger companies have less of this, but I still think it happens. I think the bigger companies, because they don't know, we don't get enough training in business in general. But Neil, marketing, I have come to learn in my minimal experience with my 5 companies, it is the widest learning gap I think that's out there in all the business. Because even medical billing and insurance, there's defined points where you go, got it, as best as I'm going to get it. Marketing feels like this never-ending bandwidth of things to learn. Right. And especially as you scale, those needs change. And so if people find themselves on their heels, it's because they're not understanding the technology of how to market.
Yeah, and one of the traps that I see for any business owner, especially in today's age, is that we can chase the shiny object. We're looking for the one thing that's going to save our business, or
take away our pain.
Yeah, take away our pain, or even just like give us the one thing that's going to fix everything and move us forward in like an amazing direction. And you hear like the stories about those things, but they're very tiny percentage of what actually happens.
Yeah.
And the businesses that really thrive and do well get the basics right. They get the fundamentals right. So again, coming back to the PR, like they work hard on getting reviews for their business. They really promote that online. They work hard on getting content. They work hard, which means like your pictures, your videos. So like clinics that spend a lot of effort on getting everybody to participate on taking pictures within the clinic, taking video within the clinic, like all of that can be used in your marketing. But clinics that like, hey, I'm too busy, I'm just going to use a bunch of stock, photos here on my website, you miss out on a tremendous opportunity to connect with your audience and connect with those potential patients. So a lot of times it's just getting these fundamentals correct in your business, not only from you as the practice owner, but getting your team to buy into, hey, these are the fundamentals, these are things we just got to get right. And you'll be cooking with that.
I am just so painfully aware of the lack of fundamentals that I'm doing in Virtual Rockstar. But I'm also, this podcast in particular, I never ask for reviews. I have a spiritual podcast as well that's driving money towards African orphanages. And I don't even announce to people that I'm doing that.
Wow.
As you're talking to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm an idiot. Like, it's not, I don't mean that as it is a negative way to say it, but it's encouraging. I'm like, dude, you could do all this other stuff. And that's PR. And then it builds towards those elements.
Yeah, and it doesn't take a lot of expense. It just takes a lot of, some coordination, some planning around it. And we look at why social media can work so well is because it does tie into that PR part of it. Sometimes we just kind of perceive social media to be, want to put some advertising on social media.
Right.
Really like build your PR on that. And again, from a PR perspective, it's not something that's instantaneous that you're going to see.
Right.
When you're working on social media, putting out content, for example, when you're working on getting reviews for Google, for example, or for even Facebook reviews, things like that, it takes some time to get some traction. So you're going to give up long before it starts to really, go. But if you persevere, you will see the fruits of your labor.
And it's amazing how you can learn these things, but I forget them in different domains. So for example, recruiting is one of my things that I'm talented in, and I've done very well coaching other people until the virtual rockstar came along. My biggest thing was just talking about what you said. I didn't know the PR angle as much. I combined marketing with PR.
Yeah.
But it was always this thing of like, you got to recruit every day. When we're talking about marketing rock stars, we're talking about business development. We're talking about getting new clients to serve and recruiting. That's the two sides of biz dev. And so when we talk about recruiting, we're here with ATI. ATI isn't going to listen to this podcast. They don't have the greatest reputation in the industry, but they are still alive, in my opinion, because they know these concepts, especially around recruiting. No one recruits better than those guys. I'm pointing down the hall because I can see their logo. No one recruits better than those guys. They are amazing. And there's probably some unbelievably amazing people in it. I don't mean to disparage them. I'm just saying, when you get that recruiting piece right, and you get the new patient piece right through PR, marketing, and sales, you can go, global, or in their case, publicly traded, and still survive these storms that they're trying to weather right now.
Well, one of the things is you scale. If you want to scale your practice, right, and you don't even have to be a 100 location practice, even if you want to go to 2, 3, 5, 10 locations, whatever your dream is, your problems scale with you, right?
Yeah.
And it always comes back to, do we have enough new patients? Do we have enough people to treat that are awesome, right? And are we getting paid well enough to do this and managing our money? That's the three things again, right? But where, again, this is another area where practice owners can get a little stuck because they think of recruiting as an HR function.
Right.
They think of recruiting as like, hey, I'm just going to put an Indeed out there and I'm going to get people to apply and then I'm going to sift through them. They don't see the PR, marketing, and sales component of recruiting.
Yeah.
Right. And we're focusing a lot on that for our clients today because it's such a competitive world. We have over 12,000 PT shortfall in the industry, and that's going to be here, from the APTA's numbers, that's going to be here for decades to come.
Right.
Right. We cannot pump enough students out
to meet the demand.
Meet the demand of, and what a great position we are in as a profession where our services are going to be in growing demand for decades to come.
Right.
Fantastic opportunity. Other industries would die for what we have available here. And we complain and moan about the reimbursement and all these other challenges, but the opportunity is there. And also, I'm really encouraging our clients to look beyond just the insurance model to hybrid models of different cash service lines that they could add to their business. This is what we're seeing successful practices do.
Yeah.
Because there's going to be a $3 trillion opportunity by 2030 for health and wellness. So how are we tapping into that? But coming back to the recruiting side of it, there's a shortfall of PTs. There's going to be a shortfall of PTs. So you have to be able to outmarket your competitors to get talent to grow your business.
Yeah.
We're a service business, right? We got to bring more people in to service more people. That's just what it is. If we're good at marketing, if we're good at PR, then we gravitate people towards us. And that's what we see. Like, the better your marketing gets, the better your PR gets, not only going to attract new patients, but you start to attract top talent.
Yes.
Right, towards it.
That's amazing. I think it's an incredible concept because when we're talking about all these elements, I'm hoping people are listening to this from a lens of how this solves all of their problems on the biz dev side long term. So let's talk about how those elements change over evolutions of companies, because you and I are both working with larger and larger companies. You and I both have companies that work with us who have over 100 locations. And so what would you say? I don't think we have time to go through every element.
Yeah.
But what would you say were are key lessons that you could share with companies at those sizes so that they can understand how they can upgrade their marketing? Because like you said, your problems scale with you. And I would say, again, marketing is the largest area of needing to understand in order to keep up with your scale and your growth.
Yeah. Yeah. And so sometimes we think of like the big companies, like money fixes everything. To a certain extent, right? But most dangerous aspects of any business, whether it's PT or any other business, is usually the $1 million mark and the $3 million mark.
Okay.
Right? Those are kind of like your barriers that you have to bust through, and it takes some evolution, some changes in your business at 1, 3, 10 million marks, right? So let's talk about the 1 to 3 because that's pretty common. And
They call that the graveyard from one of my coaching groups. They're like 1 to 5. They're like anywhere in that space. This is where the very few ever get to 1 million, but the much fewer get beyond the 5.
correct, right? Yeah. So usually as we're starting to get to that, like, multi-location practice, we're tapping the $1 million mark, and then we're starting to get close to that 2 to 3, get more and more locations going. So, at that point, what happens is the practice owner does become the bottleneck, right? And so we're trying to do it all in our business at that $1 million mark. We have PTs working for us. We have office managers, all that kind of stuff happening. We're trying to do a lot of the marketing ourselves, right? We might have like a website company. We might have someone that does a little SEO for us, some local company, things like that. But we haven't truly invested in that component of our business to get it to that next level, because we're going to have to drive in a lot more new patients in order to be operating at a $2, $3, $4, $5 million business. And we have to have enough people to service that level too. So again, it comes back to that, you become the bottleneck in your practice at that point. And so you are going to have a point where your profitability is going to have to be less to reinvest in your business. And that means you're going to have to reinvest in marketing help. You might need a marketing director in your clinic at that point. You might need to spend some money on like hiring an outside agency to come help you more.
Yeah. When do you, this is a great question. When do you recommend people hire because agencies, like that's a whole different discussion. There's different levels of agencies. Let's talk about like an internal marketing director. At what stage does an internal marketing director make sense? Like a full-time?
Honestly, I think when you start to get to like 3, 4, or 5 providers.
Okay.
I think that's a great time to start looking for someone. And you have to be careful at who are you looking to hire as a marketing, director.
Yeah.
The thing that you want to look for is really a marketing coordinator.
What's the difference?
So what I see a lot of is that practices might hire someone who has, I've done a lot of social media. I like to do social media posts, or I've done email marketing. I like to do email marketing. Like, you don't want someone who does a lot of little actions for you.
Because we think of those things, we think that's marketing.
VA, right? Yeah. Use a VA for that kind of stuff. But you want someone who can, because there's a gazillion different marketing actions that need to happen within the clinic.
Got it.
Right? You need to get, feedback from the patients. You need to get testimonials. You need to, coordinate events that may be happening outside the clinic. What's your website presence look like? What's your reviews? What's your SEO? Like all these different components that need to be happening from the business. So someone who's really good at project management, someone who's a great communicator is your ideal marketing coordinator.
Okay.
Right?
Makes
sense.
They
can manage a lot of projects that are going on. They can talk well. They can really build relationships with the patients to extract these amazing stories from the clinic. So you can tell them out there to the world, make sure you're getting all these reviews that you're supposed to be getting within the clinic.
So they've got like the review project going. They've got social media that they're overseeing, which do you recommend social media posting for your practices that you work with?
Yeah, I do. I think they got to tap into that more. Like, do you put that as a huge main focus? No, right? Like, just
it's all the things. You've got to be doing all these elements to build that brand through PR.
Yeah.
So the coordinator is just coordinating those key elements. What would you? So you mentioned a couple. I want to just kind of get for people who are listening, what would be the components? Almost like a job description of a marketing coordinator. So it would be like overseeing, in terms of tasks, it would be like overseeing projects like social media management, review, aggregation. Anything else come to mind?
Yeah, again, like I said, testimonial gathering from that. Online presence, right? So that's going to be a lot of variety of things. They're usually going to again work with some sort of agency, whether that's local or industry specific, because you need someone who could do the technical stuff, the web development stuff, the SEO stuff.
And that's where you come in, right? With
that's what we
promotions.
do. We help support like the marketing directors, the marketing teams within the clinic.
Let's look at that relationship out of curiosity. So practice promotions comes in and does what things with that marketing coordinator? Like what would be the things that you're doing that they're helping coordinate with?
Yeah. So obviously website development, but then website upkeep.
What does that mean? Website development.
So website is, okay.
I know that sounds pretty obvious, but when I see that, I literally, like, if I was a PT, I'd be like, because I already have a website is how I would hear that.
Exactly. But my website was built 3 years ago and it's great. I love it. That's fantastic. It's beautiful.
They're so bad.
But people fall in love with their websites.
Yeah, they do.
And it's like this representation of your clinic, and it should be, because it's your biggest online presence, like your online storefront.
Yeah.
Right. But what we don't realize is that Google and the online world changes so fast that your website, you should really redevelop every 3 years.
Okay.
Now, I want you to think about like, hey, I've got an iPhone 8 versus an iPhone 17.
There's a difference.
There's a difference.
Like it's incalculable. Like it's a big difference.
Right. So it's one of those things like it should be ongoing, right? There should be website redevelopment happening on a 3-year basis, but then on a continuous basis, you should be updating blogs, right? For SEO, and those blogs should go out then to your list of patients, right? To keep them informed of what you're doing. You're bringing them back there. You could be doing recruiting centers through your website.
Yeah.
Right. You should be putting fresh pictures up there. Right. There's a lot of things that you should be, it's not a set it and forget it type thing.
Absolutely.
Right. You got to keep it rolling. Right. So that marketing director is helping coordinate all that stuff. And then your website also is a big part of your SEO, like being found on Google for the local.
It's a big deal.
And so things change with Google. They make, 4 or 5 major updates every year, and they don't tell you what they're doing.
And this is such a big thing, rock stars, because as we start to become primary care physicians of our musculoskeletal industry, PTOT and SLP, people are starting to skip that middle person and go straight to us. This is everything. Our ability to be found online is the foundational, like, connecting point of marketing. If people can go search for physical therapy near me and your practice pops up with 300 positive reviews, their likelihood of becoming a patient goes up. And I can see that's where it's hard to calculate that direct ROI. But if you're not playing that game, you're definitely not going to scale, and you'll be frustrated going, why can't I recruit and retain people? Or why can't I seem to get more patients? This is really the common problem.
The easiest thing just to think about is just looking at it from a 1,000-foot view or 10,000-foot view is like, what is my brand presence look like online? Like, how do I come across online my clinic, right? And so that's just a great place to start, because then you'll start to see holes where if I was a patient and I was Googling for, back pain treatment near me, or even best physical therapy near me, how am I showing up? What do I look like to a person out there who's making these searches?
Yeah.
And it'll start to give you a framework of saying, hey, you know what? We don't really pull up in this map section, right?
Yeah.
Or we don't even come up in like the top 10, or maybe like middle of the page, or you know what? Like there's all these other clinics advertising on Google and they're up here, or they're even in the AI searches, and I'm not. Like,
yeah.
So you start to realize that you have these holes in how people perceive you online. And then, okay, if I do find you and I click on you, what's my experience like coming to your website? You've got 2 seconds of my attention to grab me. Do you do that? Right?
Yeah.
Or do I feel like, hey, they're just talking about themselves. They're not talking about fixing me as a patient. That's a great thing to look to. Like, does your website speak to a patient? Is it patient-centric, or is it
self-involved? So, like, I do this in recruiting all the time. People put job ads there. By the way, this is a little golden nugget for those of you who are like, how do I recruit better? Their job ads, their messaging on their website is, you should join our company because we have great quality care and we do all these wonderful things. No one cares. Everyone has great quality care online. And so you commoditize your industry to being forgettable. Your job ad is, like whatever. So the great websites say, are you a physical therapist who's looking to increase your income and impact? Do you want to learn to be the best in the industry? Are you looking to join a team that's going to honor you and your goals? Like, that's the you language that helps. So like, those are just what's a micro component of what we're talking about.
Right.
Here.
So coming to recruiting, one thing that we put a lot of focus on this year for our clients is, people don't realize that there's also Google Jobs. And Google Jobs is something.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it pops up automatically. You don't realize it, but it just pops up automatically. If instead of someone doing a search for physical therapy near me, if you type in physical therapy jobs near me, right, which
Google Jobs comes up.
Google Jobs comes up, right? And Google Jobs actually aggregates all the different listings from LinkedIn, ZipRecruiter, Indeed, Snag-a-Job, like all these gazillion job boards. And so what we've been able to do is actually build a recruiting center within the client's website.
You're doing this with your client.
Yeah. So they have job posts within their websites that Indeed will point to, for example, but those job posts themselves will actually now show up on Google because they're SEO optimized. And so now you get like free advertising for advertising through Google Jobs when people are searching for physical therapy jobs near me. So like, again, but here's the key is if I was a therapist and I'm looking for like, kind of browsing what's out there.
Yeah.
I come across these clinics. They're never going to reach out to you unless you're selling them through your website.
Right.
Right. And so when I click on there and I go to your careers page,
right,
you got to sell me. You got to show me your culture. So like the clinic, we do like blow ups of their careers pages. So we, all the events and things you do with your team? Are you taking enough video or taking enough pictures of that? And then being able to put that up on your website, talk about your mentorship programs, talk about, your programs for growth, opportunities, like there's a lot that you're doing to try to sell someone through your website to come work for you.
Neil, we've been friends for over a decade. I had no idea that Practice Promotions did so much for recruiting.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
had to pivot a lot. Again, there's such a huge demand in the industry. Like, we made that a big priority this last couple of years.
Yeah, and I think that's why, again, people, when they see like a Practice Promotions or anything marketing based, again, it's such a wide scope. But what you guys really come in on is that PR and branding / actual marketing elements. So if they had a marketing coordinator, they would be assisting the owner and relaying information, just key decisions to the owner, and then that person would be putting information in your hands so you can update their website. You can make these things SEO friendly.
The other thing that's so critical is data. Like, you need the metrics, you need the KPIs. And so we're thinking of KPIs like new patients, right? Okay, well, let's break that down from an online discovery, because we do want to go more direct to consumer, right?
Yeah.
We want to be at least 50% of our business coming from direct to consumer, referrals from other patients, and then getting to a point where we only have maybe like 10% of our business coming from physician referrals. That puts you in a tremendous power curve for growth in your business.
So you help them track their metrics and measure all that?
Oh yeah, and that's a huge thing, is because a lot of clinics have no idea how many people actually come to their website and become a interested patient from their website and actually get on the books. Track that all the way through. So for example, like if someone clicks from a Google ad, I want to track them all the way through, come to your website, and then how are they behaving on the website? And then if they call, do we have a tracking number through the website? So we have like dynamic phone numbers that track that change depending on where people are coming from in the website.
Yeah.
And then they go through into our patient lead CRM, which then the front desk can mark, hey, this person actually scheduled. So that way you can track someone all the way through. And those are the things that the marketing coordinator needs to be looking at, is like, hey, what's our KPIs looking like from all of this different tracking?
Yeah, I don't think any owners know this, but
right.
I think especially to a certain size, I bet multi-location owners may have elements of this.
They get deeper into that, but they're still a lot of times missing the mark. So we look at website conversion, right? Which means like, how many people come to your website and then actually become a patient?
Right.
Industry standard is about less than 2%. We try to get that above 8 to 9%.
Wow.
Which can be a massive change. Just
huge ROI.
People that are already coming to your website, just the way that it is designed, like with, again, we use like AI tracking design work. So like it'll represent how someone's eyes would actually track around the page.
Oh, jeez.
And then you can get them to stay longer on your website. And guess what? The longer someone stays on your website,
the higher the conversion.
The conversion percentage just go up.
So I've had lots of friends over the years with my networking out of PT in PT who all try different marketing things, external solutions. And this is always where things fall off, because for most people, it's hard to track the ROI. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, right. For your clients, this is how you do it. It sounds like this is a great way of retaining clients, is that you can show them, this is what it was. Here it is now. Here's your return on investment, because you're measuring actual click-through rates.
Well, we're PTs, right? We like evidence-based.
Yeah.
Well, we got to approach our marketing the same way. We got to be evidence-based with our marketing, right? And when you know what is working, you feel confident that you're clear, right? You have confidence, like, you know what? This is going good. Let me put some more money towards those Google ads, because I see the ROI that's happening. Is when you have ambiguous information, it's hard to make the right decision.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Or, you know what? We got some therapists through the website here. That worked. Let's put some more money towards, some Google ads for that.
If we don't know what's hitting, we don't know what to reinforce. Alex Ramosi is a big coach, and his whole thing is about measuring what works. And his number one coaching philosophy is the question more.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, if he meets with a practice like, hey, how do I grow? Well, what's the thing that's working most? Okay, if they don't know, that's the first thing they solve. But if they know, they're like, well, can we do more?
Right.
Is there a supply constraint? Or is it just that you're too busy doing lots of things? And so marketing, from your perspective, you guys help create the clarity as to what is the more.
Yeah. And
then resolve those barriers. So just really quickly, Neil, before we move on, because I want to bridge into something here, is what are the buckets that Practice Promotion handles? Because so just kind of hit like the main things that you guys are, I mean, that's, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there's lots of things that take more time, but if there's buckets that you help a marketing coordinator hit, where would those be at?
Yeah. So like just big and broad is really, we actually have a strategy called market to grow. So it's grow, hire, and profit.
Grow,
right?
hire, profit.
So we're looking at how can we grow online visibility, right? Is one. And how can we get patients who have interacted with us, have been customers in the past,
yes,
to keep interacting with us, right? Come back for care, send friends and family, all that good stuff, right? And then that's part of like our kind of growing part. And then also of the recruiting actions, right? So how do we create online visibility, brand visibility, get people to come apply for us? That's that aspect. And then the KPIs component, the tracking component, so that we can increase our profitability, right? And we want to attract higher paying patients. So how are we positioning ourselves? That's also part of marketing, is positioning, brand and positioning.
Absolutely.
So how are you positioning yourself if you want to attract people with a better reimbursing insurance or cash services? It takes more marketing, takes more PR, it takes more brand presence in order to attract those people. So that's part of that, the profitability part of it. So those are key buckets that we really help.
Do you help them determine that strategy?
Yeah, that's actually part of like what we do too.
Oh my gosh. So you're helping them, like they're like, because a lot of them are just generalists and they don't even know. So we might ask them questions and using metrics come back and go, hey, maybe this is where we should focus. You're not going to like brand strategy with them, but you are going to say like, hey, this is working. And then that might inspire them to use you to help.
Here's a little nugget for everybody that I don't see people do enough. And that's, do you put on your website homepage the key insurances that you want to take? Right? So like,
yeah, if I'm a patient, that's the first thing I'm looking for is who takes my Blue Cross.
Right. So if you have like, you know, maybe Blue Cross is your top payer, maybe TRICARE is another one. Like, so if you have like your top 3 logos on there, and those are the best insurers that you get, guess what you're going to get more of? You're going to get more of those people with those kind of insurance. So it's just like simple things like that can actually just make a big difference in how you're coming across. We help people with a lot of like different service lines, like sports performance.
Yeah.
You know, with sports performance, you gotta be really edgy looking, right? You gotta have the right visuals for that. They're expecting more out of your brand presence online to gravitate towards you. Right? This is gonna be a great sports performance clinic. So there's a lot to that nuances.
Amazing. Well, I'm excited to hear that. So you work with that. So how is that different when you work with those services with the marketing coordinator versus someone who has 50 clinics? What should that 50 clinic owner have in place to help scale you? Because you work with all the above.
Yeah.
You're obviously, as you're growing, you're growing more into these larger clinics because of your knowledge base and your niche. But what would that larger company need?
Yeah. So we have clients that we help that are like 180, 220 location practices, very different at that scale. It's really about, they have, marketing teams that are doing different, you know, actions. And so we're helping to support those different teams with kind of the back end technical stuff, whether it is ads, whether it is, there's a lot more updates to the website, basically on like a weekly basis that they're wanting. A lot of functions tie back into recruiting. So obviously their careers, their job posts, all that kind of stuff, applicant tracking systems, APIs back from those things into their website. So there's a lot more of those kind of technical aspects with the larger practices. The challenges that come with larger clinics is that you tend to have more underperforming clinics in different sporadic areas.
Yeah.
Right. So you have some clinics that are crushing it. You have others that are underperforming. So we move the focus around depending on where the need is to those clinics that are underperforming. Maybe their SEO changed, right, in their particular community or market. You know, maybe they need some more ads. Maybe they need a bit more, email marketing or something towards their lists. So it becomes a little bit more targeted as to where can we lift different parts of the organization to have maximum performance at that scale.
Amazing. You know, can you go through that 3-step process again? Because it was like hire, grow. What was the first one?
Yeah. So grow, hire, profit.
So it's grow, hire, profit.
Yeah.
I love that you have hire now.
Yeah.
In your business model. That is so cool because again, I think that's where you're looking. I love that word. And I would love to see that on everything that you put out there because grow, hire, profit is really clear in terms of what you do to serve people.
Yeah.
And it's neat that that's a huge part of what you do now is a hiring.
Yeah. We're fulfilling the need that's out there in the marketplace.
So what do you see is coming next? I mean, we've got all these technological changes that are advancing with AI and these elements. Like how is Practice Promotions, you know, looking forward to the future of serving the industry?
Yeah, we're doing a ton with AI. So we're using AI. The way that we have positioned ourselves with AI is there's this thought out there that AI will replace everything. Right. AI, we're going to replace marketing agencies with AI. We're going to replace.
VA agencies. I've got guys who are desperately trying to sell because they feel like writing is on the wall.
No. I don't believe that at all. What we're using AI to do is to enhance what we already do. Right. So for us, we're using AI to evaluate phone calls coming in so that we truly can skip that process of the front desk, like having a tag that this is a scheduled patient. The patient already said that in their communication on the phone. So let AI just kind of analyze that and we mark it. All right. Simple things like that. Or we're using AI to analyze different Google ad performance. So then that helps our team become much more efficient at spotting where we can best leverage performance.
Right. Or like the eye tracking thing or like all these things that are out there.
Or a lot with content, right? So we have PT content writers on staff, but in order to do things at mass and have even more customization, what clients really want is being able to leverage AI in order to write more of the voice of that clinic, right? And the nuances, the things that they want to say to their particular communities or audience or target audiences that they're trying to reach. So leveraging AI in that component too. So I would say as we're looking at AI and marketing, I think a lot of it becomes more of how can we work with it.
Yeah.
To make ourselves much more customized, much more efficient, be able to analyze things a lot easier. That's where I see our kind of the future of marketing and PT.
Amazing, Neil. My gosh. It's so fun. We were clients of yours, like
back in the day.
Back in the day when I had my PT practice, and that was back when physical mailers was a big
and
those types of elements. Do you guys do any physical products still?
Ooh, we still do. Yeah. I mean, it's gotten a lot less of what we do, but really surprising. We got to think about the audiences that we serve, right? So if we are, and let's face it, in PT, we're traditionally working with people with broken bodies, and those bodies start to break down in our middle ages. So we're dealing with the Gen X's and the boomers, right? A lot.
Yeah.
And they've read a lot growing up. And so what's beautiful in today's world is direct mail actually works better than ever before. Because if you think about going through your inbox, you've got hundreds of emails, right? But how many pieces of mail do you get in the mailbox, right? Not as much as you used.
Not as much.
But it stands out.
It really does. It's so funny because I think I went through that phase like most people do. We're like, we hate it. But then we find ourselves flipping through the coupons. We see the little things. We see the little real estate agent and you're like, and then you go sell your house and all you can think of is that one guy.
Yeah. You get the postcard, you get the value pack. You still get the catalogs. Here's a great lesson. LL Bean, you know LL Bean, right? All right. So I think it was like 5 years ago or something. Someone had the bright idea to like, hey, we'll save about $100 million or something like that in sending out the catalog, the mailer, right?
No.
So they went all digital, they went all online, and they had the worst sales performance in history for LL Bean. They quickly got their catalog back in. So that expense still had major repercussions for the business because they thought everybody would just be digital. But people really, and we're looking at behaviors of people, right? So marketing is really about just people behavior. How are you working with that behavior?
Yeah.
In today's world, we've got 7, 10, 15 touch points from someone before they actually do anything, right?
Right.
We're so skeptical today. So you can't just expect to send one thing out and have it work perfectly. Like that doesn't happen. That's unreal.
Yeah.
We have to hit people from all angles, right? We have to be in their mailbox. We have to be in their email inbox. We have to be on their social media feed. All right. We have to be when they're Google searching. Like you've got to be everywhere today.
Yeah, Neil, this has been so I am beyond excited about what I'm doing for my own business. Like, I know this is a great episode when honestly, I forget there's even people listening.
Right.
And I've just got all these like lists of things I want to talk to you about after the show because of all the work I know I want to do because of the knowledge that I was empowered with. So thank you so much for being on the show. If people want to get a hold of you to learn any of these elements, or learn more about private practice, or practice promotions, how do they get a hold of you?
Oh, we got tons of free stuff online. Go to practicepromotions.net. You can get our practice marketing podcast, start listening to that. We've got my Market to Grow book. So you
have a book?
I have a book.
Let's go.
So go get we'll send it to you for free on our practicepromotions.net. So, and we got tons of like free downloads, PT references, like free stuff. So go get it.
Okay, absolutely. Okay, I'd like to finish with a rapid fire set of questions. Are you ready for this?
Okay, I'll try.
Okay. What would be the one part of your marketing, what was your favorite element of marketing? If you had to pick one action that you just love, it's not necessarily the most successful action, but something that you just like obsessed with. What is that?
For me, it's when a practice center says, I've got a huge weight loss now.
Okay.
Right. They're like, oh man, I'm like, not like, it's a good problem to have.
It's an outcome of them saying, yeah, I'm working with you and now I'm flooded with patients.
Yeah. Yeah. So they were doing something before that just wasn't working. And now that's like working and they're so happy. Right.
Love that. Okay. What's a book, a movie, a podcast, a band, something you've seen more entertainment focused?
Okay.
More entertainment. It can't be inspiring. Like if you read a great business book, whatever, but like, is there anything you've consumed recently that you're like, wow, I really like that?
I always gravitate to one book I really like, which is The One Thing.
Oh, great book.
Because in today's world, it's so easy to get distracted and shiny object syndrome everywhere. But like, he just kind of keeps you focused. Like, what's the one thing that you could do to move your business forward or your life forward?
That concept is so simple that people think it's easy.
Yeah.
I've had the highest paying coach I ever hired this year. Most money I've ever spent on a coach. Do you know 90% of it is saying, is that the thing?
Right.
Is that the thing?
Yeah.
First, he helped me understand what the thing was. And I kind of already knew. That's the crazy part. I pay this guy a ton of money. And every time I'm like, hey, this is what I'm doing. He's not even really coaching me. He's like, is that the thing? And most of the time it's not. I think it is. That's the hard part is a lot of times these things I think I'm doing are adding value. Like I'm going to add this new program. I'm going to do these different things. And some companies do that and it works. But most companies that get really big and successful, they do one thing really, really well. And honestly, this is a little plug for both you and I. I think that's why we as PTs going into our respective specialties have so much to offer because we're hyper niche in the one thing called PTOTSLP. Like that's where we are thriving. Okay. Now what's a place in the world you've been that you've loved? And you and I were on a cruise together. So I know that you've been traveling. What's a place in the world that you've been that you love or somewhere you want to go?
I love Switzerland. That's one of my favorite places.
Most beautiful country on earth, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hands down. Did you go to Lauterbrunnen by any chance?
Yeah. Lauterbrunnen. Yeah.
I think that's the most beautiful spot in the most beautiful country on earth, personally.
Yeah, that is one heck of a spot there.
Okay. What about, this last one is just a little bit more of this idea of family history. So your kids, they're growing up. They see dad doing all these things. Yeah. They have plenty of podcast episodes to listen to.
Right.
But maybe they never get to hear from you to them directly.
Okay.
What would you want your kids to know about your passion in life?
That for me, it's okay for that to evolve. Right. But the core for me has always been helping other people. And no matter where I've been, whether that's being a waiter or being a physical therapist or helping other businesses now, other physical therapy businesses, it still comes back to like helping people. So for me, now I'm playing a bigger game. And that's another thing. Play the bigger game, right?
So let your passion evolve and play a bigger game.
Yeah. So for me, I could help so many people being a PT in my practice, right? So I first PT, help a lot of people, own a practice, help more people, help other practices be successful at helping other people. Big game.
Wow. Well, Neil, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been such a treat to have you, my friend.
Pleasure as always. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, rock stars, that's it for today's episode of Willpower Podcast. Thanks again for tuning in. As always, this is Will Humphreys reminding you to lead with love and never give up. Until next time.